right, gents. We are back with another edition of We Like Movies. My name is Juan, here with Mark and Kevin, and we are ready to sit down and discuss The Adam Project, directed by Shawn Levy. Levi, let's go with Levi, and starring Ryan Reynolds. So here we are again with Shawn Levi and Ryan Reynolds. Let me just give you a quick recap. I'm going to read actually from the IMDb page, and then I'll add to it. So it says, after accidentally crash landing in 2022, time-traveling fighter pilot Adam Reed teams up with his 12-year-old self for a mission to save the future. Now, what this little sentence doesn't tell us is that he's gone back to the past. I almost said back to the future. He's gone back to the past to search for his wife, who was sabotaged as she went back in time to the year 2018. So he's going back to rescue her, and his suspicion is that she went back and to kind of, no, sorry, that's wrong. But he ends up determining that he needs to destroy the time travel machine. We find out that his dad was the one that created it, and so now the adult Adam, the 12-year-old Adam, and their father are working together to destroy time travel, and yeah, it's that messy when it comes to science fiction aspect of it. But well, that's what the three of us are here. If you're listening to this, you relax. You let us sort it out for you. We're really good at that. So yeah, that's the recap. Why don't Mark? Why don't you tell us first your thoughts on the movie?
Maybe it was because we just saw Free Guy, and it was Ryan Reynolds, but I felt like this was just like a continuation of, you know, guy lived out this scenario, the Adam Project. It just, yeah, I again, or well, not again, but it's not a bad thing. But yeah, I just was like, oh, okay, it's another one of these movies. Um, so yeah, that's all I really got. I'll move it on to Kevin, and then we'll start digging deeper.
All right. I will say I liked it. I didn't love it. Um, just like we said about Nightmare Alley, it was a simple story. But unlike Nightmare Alley, I don't think it was told great. I thought it was told okay. It just felt like, again, there were moments that hit, moments that that, hey, we're gonna do this scene, we're gonna do this scene. We want to pull some emotional strings, which we'll get to. And then there's stuff that happened that was just left and never revisited. So I don't think it was the greatest storytelling. It was a fun movie. It was enjoyable, but like I said, it wasn't anything. But there were some parts that I really did like about it, like the parts where like we're gonna get into this scenes, like this theme or whatever, that I thought worked well, and other stuff I thought was really heavy-handed. And again, as we speak, we'll get into that. But yeah, and that little kid, I liked him though. That little kid I liked.
Yeah, it was a good popcorn movie. And yes, I do like younger Adam. He had the funnier lines.
He did have some funny lines. Yeah. I agree with that. I found him a bit annoying. But you know what? I got to tell you, halfway through this movie, I really wanted to hate it. There were definitely things that were messy. Let's talk about the kid's home and how fake that backyard looked, and how this guy crash landed 50 feet from his childhood home. But the set design and the lighting of that home and that backyard was horrible. It looked so fake. But then, and I really want to hear what Kevin says was heavy-handed. But what worked for me was actually I felt like they really handled most of the relational dynamics really well. And so it was actually, the heart that I don't know if it really achieved all the emotional stuff weight that it was going for, but I thought the attempt, especially at some stuff that I don't see it portrayed very often. I don't see that. So for me, yeah, I would say overall, I liked it. I did feel like it was a kids movie, um, but yeah, overall I liked it. So whoever wants to start, just kind
Wait,
of
so, so,
pick
so wait, since you mentioned being heavy-handed,
yeah.
and you mentioned the backyard,
Mm.
that last scene of playing catch,
Mm-hmm.
I could have done never having happened in this movie. I know why it happened, whatever, but at this point of the movie, I'm like, okay, I'm like, they're playing catch. I'm like, at one point he's gonna like something's gonna happen. He's gonna like blink or something, and they're gonna disappear. I'm
Yeah.
like, and I just felt they're like that scene was just there because I'm supposed to feel it. You know what I mean? Like that I felt was so heavy-handed. I'm like,
I
okay, and
When he threw the ball completely to the left, I yelled out, "No, don't turn around! They're gonna disappear!"
yeah, I mean, I would have preferred like if they were sitting in a bar, having a drinking a beer, and the kid was there, drinking Coke or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely, yeah, I agree. That was heavy handed.
Why not right at the moment that they all hugged?
Yeah.
yeah, they could have just vanished.
Like I
And
thought the hug was
and
great.
and with me personally, I could have done with at the very end when we saw future Ryan Reynolds again, future Adam, and he sees his wife, and they smile, and she sat next to him. It was like, hey, oh, so he said something. It could have ended right there. I didn't have to see that whole scene play out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
Well,
and then they walk out.
they
Well,
were they were reminding us what they told us earlier in the movie because they think that we're not going to remember that
Yeah.
how they met.
Right. And that's why I felt like, aside from some raunchy jokes, those things prove that this is a kids movie, with some emotional, mature themes, which again I liked, but that's what I felt. And even felt like from the beginning, it was really, I don't know, for me, felt like really obvious, like they were really aiming for Spielberg here. I even got that from the trailer. It had something about, the essence of like Spielberg, that it felt like they were, even if you look at the poster of the movie, it has that same feel, like 80s.
So you were thinking like E.T.
Yeah, I felt like that's at least what they were aiming for, or at least what they started with.
Yeah, what's funny? I just went to the IMDb page and let's see, the the two pictures that they have, the two screenshots they have are of Ryan Reynolds, well, both Adams kind of looking up with a bluish tint. It kind of feels like right out of ET.
Yeah, or Close Encounters or something. About the little kid though, he made me watching him and his whole thing, his whole act. It made me feel like the director really had a time machine and went back in time to pull a young David Spade into the movie. Which David Spade is cool now, but as a kid, David Spade probably got beat up a lot for being so annoying, and that's how I felt about this kid. He really annoyed me for most of the movie.
But I guess that works out because he got beat up.
Yeah.
He did
Yeah.
get beat up multiple times.
Yeah.
So I guess that's good. Now I could see how his witty remarks would make him turn into Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. You could definitely see that. But yeah, he definitely seemed like too witty for a 12-year-old. I guess I don't know enough 12-year-olds, but this kid does not seem real.
Well, because maybe I took it as they wanted to emphasize that because that's the link between the two actors because they don't look the same. So let's just, and that's what Ryan Reynolds is known for, being witty and quick. Well, I guess that would be quick-witted. Sorry. And so let's focus on that. So that's why he had those quick one-liners.
Yeah. I mean, I also like the running time, an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know.
That was too long.
I don't know if you guys picked, like, it really, I mean, not to be punny here, but it really cuts to the chase. I mean, they do not waste any time at the beginning with, like, just easing into the story. I mean, it's like 3 minutes in, they just show you two of the characters, and then bam,
Yeah.
crash landing. So I mean, since I knew this was a kids movie and whatever, I appreciated them not wasting my time too much.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the reasons why I didn't take this movie so seriously. Uh, because I mean, when when Maya pops in, I was just like, because there was just nothing there. They just literally threw her in, and I knew she's the bad guy,
Yeah.
and it didn't it just felt like, okay, well, we got to throw something in there. Let's just do this. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. Okay, sure. I guess that's how it works out. And I think that's why it didn't, that's why it didn't feel that great as a great of a movie as it could have been.
Yeah.
And I will say, like almost what Mark said, like aside from the character of Adam, and for a little part his dad, like every other character was just window dressing for their story. Like even the wife when she shows up, I'm like, all right, it's great, they're back. Boom, now she's out. And she just existed just to have that moment.
The 5 minutes that she was in the movie, I think
Yeah.
owed her a favor, and he was like, I'll put you in this for 5 minutes.
But to me, the most egregious one, and this is what I really like the scene between Ryan Reynolds and his mom.
At the
Like
bar.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
I hate it that fact that the mom's role in the movie ends right there. Like we don't see her again until that hug at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was like she could have came home with her fight. I thought she was gonna have a moment where she's like, whatever. He got to say, I love you. I'm proud of. And you know what? You could have killed her off. They were fixing time anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One thing that bothered me about that scene, that bar scene, I find it hard to believe as a father, and you all are fathers now as well. Well, not as well, but I'm a father now as well. You guys have been fathers before me. I really feel like if me and my wife didn't see our kid for 40 years and he was put in a group of people in front of us, I feel like my wife would recognize him much sooner than I would. And the fact that they had a conversation at the bar and it took her as long as it did for her to even maybe have an inkling of an idea was just that was very laughable because Marc Ruffalo comes in and 2 minutes in, Adam? Like, no, bro,
Adam? And he sees the other one.
no way, no way. And again, because just that bond that mother and child have, it's not the same as father. And not to say that I know there was, and plus he even made it seem like his relationship with his father wasn't great. So even more reason for him to why would he spot him so quickly? So I thought that was funny, and I was just like, no way, no way, no way, no way.
That's a great point. That's a great point that I hadn't thought about.
It's something. It's so silly, but I mean that's just kind of what I was thinking that whole scene.
I mean, what I was thinking during that whole scene, I mean, I really enjoyed that scene as well, but I was expecting them to go, with like the Back to the Future route of her, being interested in like
right, and that's why I had a problem with the way they did that. I thought they were going to go there. I was like, yeah. And then all of a sudden they went that way of her. Oh, wait, is that him? I'm like, oh, come on, get out of here.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wish you would have ran into him later again, and they would have had more interaction.
Yeah.
But I did have the one note. I was like, I'm so glad they didn't have that. They didn't have her hit on him.
Well, but the problem is that it actually doesn't make sense that she didn't hit on him because she clearly has trouble with men, right? Ryan Reynolds, are we kidding ourselves? Because it's a movie. The guy's, like a heartthrob. Girls, love that. So
yeah, I think you should get that clip from the last episode about Ryan Reynolds, and I say it in there what I think about him. Add it right here.
Yeah. He starts like talking to her out of nowhere, like it almost like that's why you expect it to go there, because everything like lines up, and as
in a
we
creepy way. In a
as
creepy way.
In a
we
creepy way.
would have been, it was like, oh, okay, I'm glad they didn't do that, but it sure seemed like the setup was there perfectly.
Yeah, but I guess if you think about it, how else would you have, them get together like they did? Because obviously older Adam was able to plant the seeds into both of his parents. So I guess they
Oh,
couldn't figure out how could he plant this. Oh, that's gonna sound terrible.
Adam's
How's he
back.
gonna plant the seed in his mom? Oh, they can do it at a bar.
Oh boy.
Back to the Future.
I will
You
say
get what I
it
mean.
was.
It's a terrible analogy, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is funny how she recognized the jacket before she recognized her son.
Mm.
She's like, "Oh, my husband has a jacket just like that
Yeah. I mean, I guess
in a
yeah.
dark bar." Yeah.
He's a lightweight.
She didn't even put the two together. My husband has a jacket just like that. She doesn't look at him and go, "No, you don't look like me or my husband at all."
Yeah.
But again, that was just nitpicking. That was just me. I guess I was just thinking that in hopes that they weren't gonna go, "Oh man, you're really hot," and he goes, "Oh yeah, no, I gotta go."
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, before we get to what I really liked about this movie, there's something that I really, really liked. And there's something that I don't understand, which I want to ask you guys. But I want to nitpick a little bit more, because the villain in this movie, who actually had a death that I liked, even though I couldn't stand the villain, I did like the way she died. But
Mhm.
literally has a line in this movie where she says, "Finish him." Did you get that? I mean, literal eye roll when I heard that.
It would have been better if she would have did it like the Mortal Kombat way. If she would have finished him, then that would have been awesome. Because like, oh man, she's from the future, so she
And then we
totally
would have
gets
been, this is Free Guy.
Oh man, okay, yeah, there you go. That makes sense. No, I wasn't really listening that intently.
You had sleep by that point.
No, no, I was just, yeah, no, I wasn't just, I was just kind of watching at that point, like, I'm just free falling now.
Did you enjoy her death? I felt like it was, I was like, how are they going to do this? And it was a little cheesy, but I mean, I thought it was interesting. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I would have put my money on. I thought she was going to jump in front of the bullet. Like, I started getting Looper vibes. I'm like, oh, maybe young of her doesn't like older, and it's like,
yeah,
jump in front of it.
Totally what I was expecting too.
Yeah.
So, all right, before I get to what I really like, let me ask you this question, because I think I missed it because I was writing down a note, or maybe they missed it, because of the poor writing. But if wasn't the bad guy responsible for the dad's death?
No.
No.
It was a car accident.
It was a car accident.
Yeah, he got in a car accident 1.5 years before, like, young Ryan. Like, we meet young Adam, not young Ryan.
So she was just able to kind of take over everything because he died anyways. She had nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I had the idea that like she was the perpetrator, or that she like planned it, or like she had
Winter Soldiered it.
She had a direct hand in killing him.
I will say, for the whole part of the movie leading up to like the end and stuff, I fully expected her to be revealed as the reason he died. Like, It was all set up. She cut his brakes or something.
Oh, no, because I mean, once the whole don't tell me how it ends, that's I was like, oh, okay, so that's gonna happen regardless. Because I mean, they could tell him, oh yeah, you died from going out that day, but yeah, no, I knew I had nothing. I remembered. I figured it wasn't gonna have anything to do with it.
Okay, then I totally missed that, because at the end I was so confused. I was like, wait, if they got rid of her, why does the dad still die? So I missed that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, so what I really liked was the father and son dynamics. Um but what I really loved that again, I don't see I haven't really given it that much, I haven't like sat down and searched, my mind to think about when I've seen this, but I can't recall even at least recently a movie that's tackled this when they portray that older Adam's memories are not accurate because of the trauma that he has. And the young Adam actually reminds him, that it wasn't as bad, or you're misremembering. Um, so what I wrote actually was, I loved and was moved by Adam's realization, older Adam, that through being confronted by his younger self, that trauma impacted his ability to remember the past accurately. And man, it was, I don't know if everyone caught that. I mean, to get a little bit, deep here, like, I've done counseling and stuff, and I've reached an age in my life where, you start to look back and your scars and your wounds and your trauma, and you realize that, your mind plays these tricks on you where there's gaps in your memory, or and I've heard podcasts and I've heard other people talk about this, how, or even in courtrooms, how unreliable eyewitness accounts can be, and how often they are proven wrong because your memory is really tricky and really fickle and not very good, especially when recounting trauma. And he definitely had trauma, from his relationship with his father. So I've never, again, that I can remember, I've never seen that in a time travel movie where your younger self helps you to realize, like, hey, those memories that you have, this anger that you have, these things that made you who you are, you're not. And it was actually quite touching and beautiful how, the younger Adam did it. He wasn't responsible,
All
like,
right, okay. I gotta stop you, bro. Yes, everything you're saying was touching and moving, but the reason why you've never seen it before is because you're not supposed to talk to yourself when you go back into the past. You can't go, "Hey, buddy, your mom's really good after all. Hey, buddy, your dad was really good." No, you can't do that. So yes, they were great points, and they were moving scenes. But just to kind of, I wanted to stop you on that point where you were like, "I've never seen that before." that's that's why you've never seen it before.
I mean, I hear you, but there's definitely been time travel movies, and I haven't seen anyone approach that angle. But yeah, you're right.
Because you're not
But
well, because all time movies follow that trope of you can butterfly effect,
Oh, you,
whatever you do in the past is going
right.
to, so everything that happened in this movie goes against all time travel quote unquote laws.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
mean, again, that's why it's never been done. Maybe it has been done in a different way, but I mean, yeah, that's why you don't see something like this often.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. So it's groundbreaking in that.
Yeah.
But
the groundbreaking movie.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's telling him literally things that, oh yeah, I got married. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, and they're like, again, exactly on that, you're, it's so true. And then it's like, all right, if this is a kids movie, why spend those 2 or 3 minutes on oh yeah, are you gonna get laid, are we gonna get laid in college, you know you know
Uh,
brought this up before, but like as a father and like as a Christian man, this is, again, as a kids movie, the only time I would ever watch a movie like this again is to watch it with my kid or something like that. But things like that make it so, like, no, I wouldn't watch that. I wouldn't expose them to those kind of jokes or that kind of thinking.
yeah, it was,
Now,
yeah, it was interesting.
before we get to that part, because I just want to touch on what Juan said about the trauma that they dealt with. Like I wrote in my notes, I'm like, it's not only the trauma that of the memory, I thought it dealt with trauma in a great way. From, even in the bar scene that we were talking about earlier, when he told his mom, he goes, "Aren't you grieving too?" You know what I mean? Like, they dealt with that.
Yeah.
Something that I thought was really powerful is when he told his young son, he's like, "Listen," he goes, "You have her. She has nobody." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they were dealing with that stuff. And then again, when young Adam says, he goes, "Oh, you're just mad because he left us."
Yeah.
Because he left you. I'm like, and again, speaking from just a person, like, my dad didn't die, but he went to prison when I was young. I didn't have him in my life. I dealt with a lot of anger towards just the fact he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was easy just to like hold on to that anger until I was able to get healed and just say, you know what, I don't want to hold on to it anymore. But like, all that stuff really spoke to me, and even leading up to, and I didn't think this part was heavy handed at all um when he says he knows he's going to die, whatever. When I saw you two, and then he just started like telling, "I love you," and Adam was like, "Oh," Ryan Reynolds was like, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "No, I love you, and I'm proud of you." And like, I teared up at that part. He's just hugging him. He's like, "Yeah, I know," and because I've had that experience where you're like, "Yeah, I know," and then it just keeps saying it. It's like, all right, you can stop saying it, but it doesn't, and it really gets to you because you've needed to hear it for so long.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I don't think you do."
Yeah. And
No,
those,
yeah, that was very 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 emotional scene. And
Mark's a robot. Computing for the right word there.
That was insert emotional here.
is the word for emotion. No, but I've noticed that we have kind of selective memory when it comes to stuff like that, because I don't really talk about the good things that my dad's done for me in my life. I mean, one, he's still around. Like, we still have a relationship, and most guys can't say that they still have a relationship with their father. But for some reason, it's just that, whenever I'm talking to friends or anyone else about my dad, it's always the negative things. But it's just kind of like that's what stuck with me the most, and that's what happened more often. It was more bad than good. And I've more been getting out of that and talking better about my dad, and it's made me talk to him more and converse with him more, and I send him pictures of Apollos, and I don't remember the good. I remember very few good times, but I remember a lot of bad times. But there was probably a good mix of both. It was probably 50-50, No, it was probably good, more good than bad. But I don't remember that. I for some reason, you just stick with the bad stuff.
Yeah, and again, that's why for me it's so true. And in this movie, when I wanted to hate it, when I was just like, oh, damn that, they did this poorly, this or that, that set design and that home was terrible. But then it did hit these moments. And honestly, like, as Kevin was describing that bar scene, and as I was thinking back to some of those other scenes, like, I was thinking, like, man, I would want to watch that scene again, because it's almost like they got lucky because I don't feel like these writers or the writers of Free Guy are that good, but in this movie they really hit something emotional in some of those scenes that really were like, they moved me and were somehow like well done. Even the acting with Ryan Reynolds, even the scene where, like, where he sees his wife for the first time again, and she's kicking butt, she's flying around, she's shooting bad guys, and he is just like staring at her like in amazement and like disbelief that she's there again. Like, even that moment, like, I was like, man, that was really cool, like, really well done.
Yeah. But it's funny that they kind of, and that another reason why the movie wasn't that great is because another example at the end, when Maya is I feel like I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, that's why I'm kind of like thinking, should I talk about this now? Whatever. When they talk, when we get to the end with Maya, and she is giving her speech, she gives a one-line sentence like, "Oh yeah, and that's why I had to kill his wife twice." And I was just like, wait, what? So she was like a clone or something? But that was just thrown in, and that was that. And he was just like, what? And there was nothing. There was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just out of the blue. She just randomly said that, and that was. I mean, that's a pretty huge. That should be a pretty important part of the movie, but it was just tacked on.
But because it's inaccurate, right? Like she didn't really kill her twice. The one time she thought she killed her, but she was in 2018 or 2022 or whatever.
Well, no, that's
Right.
when he left. When he went back in time, she was dead.
Oh, okay. You know, I'm starting to think I didn't understand a lot of about this.
No, I think what Juan was saying was the first time when Ryan Reynolds thought she was dead, she was really stranded in 2018, but Maya tried to kill her. But then she ended up stranded. So then the second time she actually did kill her. I think that's what Juan was trying to say. Like she only really killed her once, but like I killed her twice because she tried to kill her by killing her in the past that first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one thing I really did like though, we're talking about stuff, but was I like when they're like, oh, you can't change the timeline, but they're like, but it's already been altered. So the whole time they've been living in an altered reality because she's already come back to the past and changed it. And again, that's what started giving me like Looper vibes and like, oh, she came back and this wasn't supposed to be the reality. So I really like that part of it. I'm like, oh, so this is all altered. It would have been different.
Yeah. There was a funny thing, a funny moment that I feel like they missed. They didn't write it in, but you know how he had this weapon that was like a lightsaber, and the kid was like, I don't think, yeah, the kid was like, oh, that's a lightsaber, and Ryan Reynolds was like, no, or older Adam was like, no, like not wanting to go along with that, and then at the end he's like battling someone. And the weapon gets like knocked away from him and it falls down. I really wanted him to go, my lightsaber. I think that would have been so. But dude, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about the special effects in this movie? Overall, I thought they were pretty good. There was one fight scene, and I wanted to mention this, I think, in Free Guy, but I forgot. It really annoys me with CGI when characters are fighting and then they start to look rubbery. They start to look like Gumby, their body parts. And somehow the Marvel Universe, for the most part, avoided that and like did really well. But it happened.
Well, they're the second half of their movies. Those
Those
first phase movies, a lot of them had that problem.
But it happened in Free Guy, and there was one fight in Adam Project towards the end, I think, where he just turned super rubbery, and I was like, oh gosh, I can't stand bad CGI. But aside from that, I felt like the special effects were pretty good considering.
The only thing I liked is when when everyone was dying, that little effect of them like phasing out. That was really cool. Other than that, I was like, whatever.
The little time travel portal was kind of cool. Like it looked nice.
Yeah, but the problem I have is why is it always it closes immediately after the person enters? Like, why? I don't. That's so
the algorithm.
Like, and the guy was so close to him. Like they both should have went through together. But no, it closes perfectly after. Yeah, okay. So that kind of killed it for me. But I guess it was okay. It didn't look bad.
Real quick, the one thing I hated, by the way, since we mentioned both of those jets, is when he did that little, I always wanted to try this, stall and fall down. How far behind was the other jet? Because that guy went up, stalled, fell down, backed it up into that cave, and then the jet passed. I was like, I thought the guy was shooting him. Like that part bothered me. I was like,
objects in mirror are not closer than they appear. No, yeah, the timing on that was pretty terrible. But this wasn't that type of movie. This was just a popcorn flick, and that's what it felt like. And coming out of Netflix, I'm not usually surprised with this type of quality. I'm more surprised at stuff like Ozark. I'm like, oh wow, that's really good, you know. So it's mediocre stuff. But yeah, I guess that kind of tells you about my rating.
Yeah, I mean, we can. I don't think that there's much more to say about this movie. It's one of the shorter ones we've done, both in length and probably in depth as well too. So yeah, I can start us off. You know what? This might surprise you, but I'm gonna give this a 2. Again, we do Little Jerry ratings here, where a 3 is you loved it, a 2 is you can take it or leave it, and a 1 is you're not a fan, and then there's all kinds of stuff in between. But for this one, I'm going with a solid 2, I think.
That's so confident.
Okay.
Because yeah, I could take it or leave it. Like I won't go out of my way to watch this again. But if there was someone,
you'll watch it at a bar on mute.
No, I mean if someone was interested in it, I'd be like, well, go.
You seem free guy.
I don't know. It's a 2. That's it.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm giving it a 2 as well. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was good. I have no problem watching it again. I wouldn't actively select it, but again, I wouldn't try to coerce someone into another movie if they wanted to watch it, because it sounds like Juan would try to, talk the other person out of seeing this movie because he's seen it. So I want to make that point. I would not do that. I would watch it again. So that's why I'm getting a solid fat 2 Little Jerry's.
Listen, if time travel was real and you went back in time to a time before you watched this movie, would you stop?
If time travel was real, this movie wouldn't have been made.
So you would have gone back to stop the production altogether. I was going to say, would you stop yourself from watching it or allow yourself to watch it? But sounds like you would have stopped the production altogether.
Because it's just all wrong. You can't call this a time travel movie. Like, it just, like kind of with the vampires, vampires, it's kind of a staple that, they want blood. If you turn it into something else, then it's like, no, this isn't that. So like the biggest rule of time travel is like, you can't even like see yourself, go near yourself, be by yourself. These guys are high-fiving each other and blowing things up together. Like, this is not a time travel movie. So I would be a T1000 to just go and stop production, because this is a smear on the time travel timeline.
I like that strong opinion. I like it.
But I don't hate it. I would watch it again.
We're so good at this.
It should have never been made, but I didn't hate it, guys.
I would actively go into the past and stop this movie from being made, but damn it, I'd watch it again.
All right, so it's my turn now?
No,
here we go.
It's Juan's
First, no, you shush. First, I'm going to give a round of applause for the 13 on going on 30 reunion we had going on with Jennifer Garner and Marc Ruffalo. I applaud that. In my head, they got married and they had Adam, so that's fine.
Now like 30 going on 60.
Yeah. I would also say I didn't mention this. I liked them. What?
Was Marc Ruffalo 30 in that movie and she was 15?
No.
Or 13. 13. Wait, is it 15? No, 13 going on 30.
13 going on 30. Yes.
So she was 13?
Well, she was in the body of her 30-year-old. Her mind went to the future. So she had her 13-year-old mind in but they didn't do anything in the movie.
Gross. But
you should watch the movie.
He wanted to.
No, he didn't, because they weren't friends.
That's Hollywood.
Like, you have to watch the movie. We're not gonna explain it in this review, but we'll talk.
Are you gonna pick that movie next? You are, aren't you?
No,
you
'cause
already
I've seen it.
So you can't pick. Yes.
Yeah. But listen, I'm still going. Listen, I want to talk about the music real quick. I like the music, but for the love of God, they played that one song like 50 times in the movie. Give Me Some of Your Lovin' or whatever. Great song, but it played like in 15 scenes. And I wanted to pick that because it bothered me. I don't know if y'all picked up on that.
I wasn't happy with the music. Sorry to cut you off, but it felt like, this Guardians of the Galaxy did it. This is like they're trying to do it. I didn't like it. It felt cheesy and inauthentic.
Well, I like the music itself. I just thought they didn't use it very well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everyone liked those songs.
Oh, yeah, I like those songs too.
Listen, none of y'all even mentioned it, so here we go.
Well, now, because I didn't think they were used well. I really didn't like anything that I like the songs and I was humming to it, but they didn't help the scenes.
I gotta get my review in because apparently there's people scratching at my door here. But what I wanted to say about the movie is I will give it a 2.25 because it's more than a meh. And the only reason I will give it that is because while I may not watch the whole movie again, I would actively watch some of those scenes and show them to some people like, hey, you got to see the scene. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Can you name one, please?
Yeah, I would show the bar scene when it talked about, like, again, it's more about the trauma stuff than anything. Like the conversation at the bar scene when, like, aren't you grieving too and stuff. And again, I would tell them, like, the rest of the movie doesn't matter. Let's just watch the scene. Like, her husband had died. The scene where the dad's saying "I love you," stuff like that. Like, all those scenes I would rewatch, just like I would YouTube them.
So how would you prompt that clip? Would you say, "Hey, I want you to watch this mother and son at a bar"?
No. This is how I would. Like, I've had friends who've lost husbands, and I would be like, "Hey," I'm like, and if they were dealing with, they're like, "Yeah, just like I just trying to keep everything else." I was like, you know what? Like, I want you to watch a scene, and then we could talk about it, and then, like, it'll just talk about aren't you grieving too, like, and we'll just talk about, like, hey, you know what? I'm like, you have to let yourself grieve too. Like, you're trying to keep everything together for your kids. But it's okay. It's okay to be, you know what I mean? And just because I thought it was such a powerful scene.
Yeah, well, no, you're going very specific. I thought you were walking around going, "Hey, man, you should watch the Adam Project because of this scene right here."
No, not randomly.
I was like, man, that's a really tough scene to pick.
hey, I want to watch the Adam Project. No, just watch this scene. There you go. No, not that.
Yeah. So okay, so you have a select group that okay.
Yeah, because there's some movies, like there's a scene in Rocky Balboa that I love, the speech he gives to the son. There's another scene in this movie called Facing the Giants that I've watched and shown to people. Like, so, like I said, why I thought the movie was okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's just scenes that I think I will carry with me if for some reason I ever had, because I show people scenes sometimes, like, hey, look, let's talk about this, and we talk about it.
You're bookmarking this for a future in which you're leading some grief counseling, and you'll go back to.
Well, I'll tell you like this: I am always prepared when the Lord leads me to talk to anyone about grief with some movie clips too.
That sounds
fair enough. What? Yeah. See, for me, man, the things that stick to me in movies are violence and gore. It's terrible.
You can use that.
Hey, go watch Bone Tomahawk. Oh, that's probably the gnarliest scene in movie set. Like, no, yeah, it's. I won't even say anything about it, but yeah, that's what sticks with me. So it's nice of you, man, that you have those moments that stick with you. I wish I didn't have these moments that stuck with me.
It's no shotgun hobo.
What was the rating?
Oh, 2.25.
2.25. We got 2 2s and a 2.5.
He was still trying to figure out why you like the music.
Not the worst ratings that we've seen on the show so far on the podcast.
No, Kevin, what's the average?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me, so that would be 625. So it's approximately 2.08.
Ooh,
That's a rounding. Yeah.
Rounding what to a random?
No, because
someone verify that math.
no, 2.08 would actually be, instead of a 625, it would be a 624. So it's really a 2.083333333333, which we're not doing. So there you go.
Okay.
Go verify that. Go verify that right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave someone to do that.
Good stuff. Well, listen, I've had my fill. I don't know about you guys, but I've had my fill of Ryan Reynolds and Shawn Levy movies.
Don't worry, we got more coming.
I'm good on them. Just throwing that out there.
Who was it that announced that? Was that Kevin that told us about them for Deadpool?
Deadpool 3?
Yeah. I'm so not in for that at all.
Yeah. But you got to remember, you have Marvel reining them in, so hopefully it's going to. Hopefully, there's hope. You have hope.
No, I don't though. I don't. I don't want hope. I just know it's not going to be good.
What if they bring Hugh Jackman out of retirement and they do Wolverine and Deadpool buddy movie?
Then I know for a fact the movie's going to suck because they're trying to pull out all the stops.
And if Levy directs it, Hugh Jackman will just be in a mask the whole time.
Hey, don't hate on him.
Probably.
I'm done with you guys.
Going, yeah, man, you didn't hear from his voice. That was him.
I'm done with you. I'm done with all of you for this week.
I think this bird is cooked.
Oh my.
Let's live to see another day.
Love you, gents.
Hey, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.